friends, welcome to another episode of Killingley Public Library's craft videos. Today we're going to be making a desktop calendar. Let's see, so to start, we're mostly just using some craft paper. I did print some things online and then just some glue and a few odds and ends. So to start with, we need an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and I have scored the paper at the 5.5 inch mark on the 11 edge. So the score mark goes down like so. It's just to fold it in half. So we're gonna go ahead and fold it in half, and the score will just help us make that fold a little easier. And if you don't have a scoring tool, you could use a ruler and just, find your spot and then mark it, and maybe use the end of a paintbrush and run it across the paper that way. You could also use the blunt scissors, not opened, and as a cutting tool, but if you leave your ends together, it's a little blunter, and you could run that down to score. Some options might be a pen that has the ink cartridge removed, so it's just the tip. Just a few things that might work for that. So we've got our 8.5 by 11 cardstock folded in half, and then we also have a piece of cardstock here that is 4 inches by 8.5 inches, and then this cardstock is also scored, and I have it scored at 1/2 inch and at 3.5 inches, or you could say 1/2 inch in from each end, because it is scored down 1/2 inch in from each end along the 4 inch side, scoring it vertically down, and then also at the 2 inch mark of the 4 inch side. And so we're going to fold this at our score marks as well. So as you can see, I do have each of these flaps folded in, and this next score line I'm going to fold in the opposite direction. So we have kind of more of a mountain type of a thing going on, and then the edges coming up. So what that is enabling me to do is to glue these edges here inside of my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So just glue the bottom edge of this to the bottom of here, and it's just going to create a stand for the calendar. And then we're going to glue this flap here to this other little 1/2 inch flap there. So as you can see, it'll be glued and it'll stand up like this one is doing here, all on its own. So we're just going to run a little glue along this 1/2 inch folded edge and glue it here, glue it into here. And then run glue on my other 1/2 inch edge and glue this flap to the other side. There you can see I have the small 1/2 inch edges glued inside here and the other one glued inside there. So it's just a way to adhere a base for our calendar to stand up. Next step is to take another piece of cardstock. This piece of cardstock is 4.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And at the top here is our 4.5 mark. We're going to score down, vertically down, at the 1/2 inch mark on this side, and then a 1/2 inch in on this side as well. So this would be, you know, if you want to get technical, 1/2 inch and 4 inch, or just a 1/2 inch in each end. I've already pre-scored mine. Once you have it scored, then flip it. You've got your 1/2 inch mark here, and we're going to score at 2.5 inches and at 3 inch marks. So if your ruler is here, you know, at 2.5 inches and at 3 inches, okay? So that you have 2 vertical score lines this way, and you have 2 lines going this way. So that's what this sheet should look like. I'm not sure you can really see my score marks, but there we go. So before I go ahead and fold at my scores, where my 2.5 inch and 3 inch score marks are, you can kind of see like a little square here. It kind of makes a little square where all the lines intersect. So let me take my pencil here and just kind of maybe show you what I'm talking about here. Okay. Does that show up a little better now? You can see where the marks are at. So I'm going to take a little piece of like a triangle shaped piece out. So I'm going to cut up towards where the 2 lines meet. I'm going to cut up in a diagonal, and then I'm going to cut down on this score mark, so it'll make just a little bit of a triangle. Let me show you. Just a little bit of a wedge. Do you see that? And I'm going to do the other side as well, and the 2 at the top. Okay, see my triangles, and you can see, you know, from the picture here, they're not even, they're not accurate. The one thing they have in common is they all are cut on the score line right to the horizontal score line, and then I just, you know, took a chunk out where there's nothing. Okay, now I'm going to fold all of these score lines. Now that you have your edges all scored, we're going to fold it up to make the box that goes on the front of our desktop calendar. And the box is for holding a post-it notes or a little pen and anything like that. So we're going to take this little flap that's been created here, and we're going to put glue on both sides of it, and one of these edges will get folded in front of it and one will get folded in the back of it. And you can also run some glue on the longer flap here so that they can glue together as well. You could use hot glue. I just happen to be using the glue stick. It didn't really seem to matter to me for the video because I wasn't needing it to dry to move on to the other steps. But that's some options. So we're just going to run the glue here, and I'm going to run some glue on this side too. And I'll put a little on this edge, and they'll all just fold in. So I'll do this one on the outside, and I'll put this one on the inside and glue them all down. See? And now I'll do the same thing on this edge. Okay, so my box is all glued together. It's a little sticky and messy, but we'll move on. Now I want to glue just some pretty paper to the front of my calendar base. I have cut a piece of patterned cardstock, and it's 5 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches, and that just gives me a very small border of the original cardstock color. if I glue this on, it'll be like, I don't know, about an 1/8 inch border or so around. You may not want to have a border, and you could just make it the full size if that's what you'd like, or maybe you want a larger border, have a little more of the background cardstock showing. I mean, you could even make your base out of some other cardstock. I just happened to use the plain. I had a lot more of that than I did of the patterned, so I just thought it worked out fine that way. But you know, whatever you have at home that you can work with, do what works best for you. So I'm just gonna stick a little glue on the back of this. Okay, I'm gonna just take my glued paper now and try to line it up as best I can. So there's my cardstock onto my calendar base. Don't look too close. I'm sure I didn't do it great. I never seem to do things well for the videos. Now you can take your box and you can adhere it onto your calendar base, and leave a little bit of room for an edge to give, you know, a little bit of the patterned paper edge, and just gonna stick it on with glue. You could use hot glue. Again, I'm just gonna run with my glue stick. There, I've stuck on my little box for Post-it notes or a little pen or pencil. I chose to embellish the one that I have previously made. You can certainly do that if you'd like. I'm not going to do it in the video. I think it's pretty easy to, you know, get creative and do what style works for you. I do have a piece of cardstock that I cut to 1 1/8 inches by 3.5 inches, and I'm just going to stick it above with the year on it. My calendar page, I didn't have space for a year. You know, this is pretty small, so I didn't have enough room. So I just printed out some a year, you know, for 2024. We're making the 2024 calendar. So I just printed this out, and I'm going to glue it onto my little cardstock strip. You can see here I chose to cut them out and glue them on separately. This time I'm gluing it onto the cardstock without cutting it out, and just making it one strip piece, like so. And if you want to wait until you get your calendar pages on to line things up a little more, you certainly could do that. I'm just going to throw it on there right now. Okay, so I glued that on. Now we're going to make the calendar pages. I just found online a site where they had printable pages to about the size that would work for me. This is 4 calendar pages to a page, and that seemed to be a good size. I then trimmed it down. I trimmed them down, and they're all just loose and stacked together. You can see how they will kind of now fit onto my calendar page. But you're probably wondering, how did I get them so that they'll be tear off calendar pages so that I can reveal the next month when the time comes? I took some liquid glue, just regular white glue. Get your calendar pages, tap it down so they're lined up well, tap the sides, you know, they're all in line, and you're just going to run a bead of glue around the top. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit of glue. Hold those pages together. Hold them together so that the glue just stays on the edge. And I'm just going to run my finger on it. Just run my finger on it like so, and spread it around, and there, that's it. It's not a lot of glue, it's just a little. And I'm going to clip it with a clothespin. If you have binder clips, you could clip it with that. Just anything to hold it so that the pages will dry and stay glued together. I have this set here already done and dried for the video so that I can now just slap it on here and glue it to my calendar. There, I've glued my calendar pages on and they'll be ready to tear off when the month is over. And just like I said, get creative and decorate it however you would like. But it's pretty simple, something easy, and you don't have to go and spend a lot of money on it. You can just print out some calendar pages and you probably have some of the other stuff just laying around the house. So we've got a couple of different colors going on here and a little creativity, and let's see what you can do. Please share your finished projects to info@killinglypl.org. I would love to see them. And thanks so much for stopping in for our craft video today. Until I catch you in another one of our videos, have a great day.